Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
And we are back, your Survivor News trio covering season 45 of the world's greatest show, Survivor. I am lucky enough to be joined by the man, the myth. He's not in the NBA, but he does have a twin. His name is Chet, but his name is Jack. Jack Atkins, welcome back to the podcast.
What's up? Just got back from basketball practice.
Okay.
Good to sit down with you guys and talk some Survivor.
And if y'all don't know who we talk about, Chet, I don't know his last name, but that's Jack's twin. I have to talk to Christine about when this other child came out. But speaking of child, the father of the world's cutest baby and who he will call Gunkle soon. He is the winner of Ghost Island. He was on Beach Cabana Royale. You may even know him from something. It's Wendeezy. Wendeezy, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. I can't do no bells and whistles today because Wendy is sleeping directly upstairs. But it is a pleasure, and honor, pleasure, and privilege to be here with y'all.
Yes. We are freshly back from a new episode. Wendeezy and I were in New York for the Brice and Win Present Our Hap welcome party, and it definitely was one for the memories. I don't have a voice right now because we had so much fun. And shout out to all of the people that came out to the party. Shout out to all of the RHAP podcasters, all of our New York people. Everyone that was there was truly so special. I had such a great time. Would you not agree, Wendeezy?
It was such a fun time. Oh my gosh, so special. It was, and it's always cool to work with RHAP because that's the community is so great, and there's so much overlap with the Brice and Wayne community and the RHAP community. So whenever we can work with Rob, we make magic together. And I mean, the RHAP Live was incredible. 810 people in this huge theater. It was just 810. It was their biggest ever. Truly a magical time, right, Brice?
It was so special. Just being on the stage with Mike, with Carla, with Jesse, it's fun clowning Wendeezy Jack on the podcast, but it's even better clowning Wendeezy in front of 800 people. Like, I don't even know. I mean, the first merge boot joke, it hit a little different with 1,000 people. So I mean, yeah.
Now it's 1,000 people. Now it's 1,000.
I mean, I count the seats too. But no, it was truly magical. Shout out to Rob, the man, the myth, the legend. What he's created is truly remarkable and inspiring, and we are just clearly happy to be a part of it. And of course, shout out to our crew, the BWP crew, DJ Caution that was in the building spinning, Joey Hatch was in the building hatching, Wendeezy was in the building deezying, and okay, what's that? What the young kids say, Jack? That's my slime. Okay, baby boy was giving slime. Okay.
Yeah, Brice. Yeah. Look at his fit, Jack. What's he look like? You can be honest.
I mean, it's fire.
Thank you. Jack knows good when he sees it.
Yeah.
Jack, they were calling him a Granny Smith apple, Jack.
Not a Granny Smith. Somebody said I was giving auntie vibes on a vacation, and I loved it. Okay, I'm that auntie.
That's the ultimate compliment for Brice Isaiah.
Listen, okay, I would definitely be somebody auntie. But listen, the Brice and Win Present Tour 45, it continues to kick off. We will be in DC on October 18th. And from there, Wendeezy, I mean, do you want to make a Survivor News official announcement? Because can we talk about our first official pop-up of the season?
Talk about our first pop-up? You know what, Brice? We might as well talk about it. So the very following week after DC, we will be in Ohio. We are coming to Dayton, Ohio to do a Real Talk panel at University of Dayton. And that evening, we will do a Brice and Wem Present watch party in Dayton. So we're getting it together, and yeah, make sure you keep an eye out. We'll be dropping all the details for that this week or next week for sure. So that's gonna be fun. Our first trip to Ohio.
Make sure you follow the Brice and Win Present Instagram page where you can stay up to date with all of the details that Brice and Win has going on. And yeah, make sure you follow us all. But yeah, listen, we got a lot to unpack, gentlemen. I think this was a pretty solid episode. The Jack Shack in the YouTube comments this week was jacking because they were weighing in on our debates. And the thing that I have to say before we even get to this episode, the one thing that I love about the posse, the Jack Shacks, the Wendy's, and everybody is that, like, I love the conversations in the YouTube comments this week because, people, they said what they said, but I love the insight, I love the thoughts, and I love the fact that although people were upset about Hannah's departure, I felt like the logic behind it definitely can understand where they were coming from. I mean, I said what I said, and me as a third boot, I'm gonna stand by the first person out. It's a game of Survivor, right? So there has to be someone that goes out first, and there has to be a winner. So I'm all for the scale of how things go. But again, just shout out to all y'all in the comments for keeping it so respectful. However, saying what y'all, typing what y'all said, because we appreciate that. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to second that. I mean, I was reading through all the comments. A, I love the Jackery Shackery was showing out. But B, I love like the respectful nature of the debate that was going down in the comments. I think that's the spirit we should all have when we're watching Survivor, especially controversial moments like quit. It's so fun to talk about, and our debate last episode was so fun, Brice. And I like that everyone kept it respectful and didn't get any type of personal stuff.
So here's what I'll add to
wait, no, well, we not. What were you just picking your toe, Wendell?
No, I wasn't picking it. I was lotioning it.
It's the stuff that Wendell does.
My toe is
ashy.
Like D's. My toe is short, so I could just put some lotion on real quick and keep it moving. But Jack, what I was gonna say was,
yeah,
I think that our community, we're pretty solid. We're pretty good at keeping it respectful. And what's cool about us is we always have differing perspectives, especially you and Brice. But sometimes there is a segment of the Survivor community that can get a little not so friendly to the contestants. But I like that our people, we can all disagree, but we can all respect each other. So I love that.
Yeah, we love the passion. And we love that it's taking a respectful form.
Yeah.
But shall we get in this episode, fellas?
Let's go, Jack.
Great episode.
Yeah, I gotta say,
start jacking.
Whoa.
It's only 5 p.m. where I'm at. What I gotta say, is, I mean, I'm living for the 90 minutes first and foremost. Like, on paper, nothing in this episode, were it to be, a 60-minute episode, went like particularly crazy for me. But because we had 90 minutes, I feel like we really got the full picture of what's going on painted for us, where we're getting to see the dynamic on every tribe. And I just appreciate it so much because I think it's going to set up for a great season because we're going to be able to follow a lot better and get more invested as an audience. And it's just nice to be able to watch for 90 minutes.
What's crazy, Jack, is to me, it didn't even seem like 90 minutes. Like, it seemed like it went by so fast, but it seemed like we got everything we needed out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I even love more. It's like when DZ and I, Jack, were driving back from New York today, when DZ wants to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, he said, "Oh no, we'll save it for the pod." And then 2 minutes later, he's talking about it. What I love in the random conversation that I was having with when DZ is that I love the arc that we can begin to see without even realizing it that you're seeing, right? Like, and it's like they'll show us something, but again, as you're watching it on the show, you're just thinking it's a part of the show. But when you reflect back on it, it gives you so much to kind of like debate on and talk. And it's like, well, there's a reason out of the 1 million hours of footage that they had that they put this particular part in it. So I love that I'm getting more of these type of moments that I can reflect on.
That's a great point. Yeah, it gives us more like backstory to understand why people are making different decisions. Like a lot of times we'll be debating like, oh, they did this because of X, Y, and Z. And there's a lot of times a caveat of like, but we weren't there. Like, we don't know what happened. Obviously, that's still true, but now we can kind of put the pieces together and be like, okay, this might have affected this, which could have affected this. And it just paints kind of a more complete picture for us. With this 90-minute format, we've got so much extra camp life. There wasn't even a reward challenge. So we were just chock full of camp life. So I figured this episode, I wanted to try a little bit of a different format of discussion where not necessarily going chronological, but more so going kind of camp by camp up to the challenge and kind of breaking down what's going on in each spot. Because then we can kind of pick and choose what we want to talk about. So yeah, hopefully it shakes out. But first we could kick it off with the Lulu tribe. They just got back from tribal council where Hannah quit, essentially. First thing we kind of see from Lulu is Sabaya and Emily are arguing a bit about their back and forth, their tension at tribal council. Sabaya felt like, I guess Emily maybe felt excluded, but Sabaya felt like it was more so Emily kind of blaming them for excluding her without kind of acknowledging her own behavior that led to that.
Yeah. It's like that kind of sort of what we were saying about Brandon last week, where it's like that self-fulfilling prophecy, right? And I can relate so much to Emily. I feel like in my own realm of sometimes I come into spaces where I am the only gay Black man, right? And I will assume things of people that like, I'm like, oh, he ain't gonna like me. And then it's like the attitude that I give off is like, the person is like, well, why would I want to speak to that person? And then when I get to actually know that person, I'm like, it really was kind of like me projecting, right? And so I feel like I can relate to Emily in that sense where it's like she might feel like a nut out of a tree, and she is like feeling like, I'm not used to this. This isn't my wheelhouse. And so like, if I'm not used to this, I am like, they have to be the enemy. And when really it's like, no, girl, you calling us the enemy when we could work together. So it's like, I really kind of was able to process a lot more of how Emily was thinking.
Yeah.
I also felt like sometimes you need to be called out in those situations. And I feel like the way, or called in, and I feel like the way that Sabaya called Emily in was amazing, right? Where it wasn't like attacking, where it wasn't, but it was like, Sabaya said what she said. And it's like, well, sis, maybe you looking at the circle wrong or the square wrong. Take yourself out of the square and look into the square. So again, I love this like complexity that we're seeing, and especially like the compassion, yet the directness from Sabaya. I love it.
Sometimes you need to be like, I get like shaken up a little bit to come to your senses.
Right.
And I'd almost analogize that to what's going on right now with that conversation. It's like, yo, look, no, this is what's up. And now it's a matter of Emily kind of changing how she moves amongst this camp.
Yeah, we see this theme kind of pervade throughout the episode of Emily's little evolution. Brice, I think your analogy was great. I'll throw an analogy out there because why not? I feel like it's sort of like, because they've been giving her good constructive feedback. It's sort of like if you see someone has like something in their teeth, you worry. You don't want to be the one to be like, yo, you got something in your teeth. But in the long run, if you tell them so they can fix it, then they're going to appreciate that, because then it's going to save them from seeing 20 more people where they're going to be like, oh, they got something in their teeth. Like,
see something, say something.
Exactly. But the next day, we see Emily is still kind of worried about her position in the tribe. She decides to go out and idol hunt. And that leads the rest of the tribe members to be like, well, if she's looking, we got to go make sure she doesn't find this thing. So they devise a plan to sort of split up into groups and look for it, which results in Sabaya going and finding Emily and saying like, hey, girl, I figured we could look together. And Emily's kind of immediately wary. But they end up, well, yeah. What'd you guys think of this decision? If you're Lulu minus Emily, what's your plan of attack when you see that Emily's out and about looking? Are you all splitting up? Are you splitting in like little groups? How do you go about it?
I feel like it's the politically correct way to essentially look for the idol for yourself, right? Like, it's like we see Emily doing it. We can put a target on Emily, but it's like, let's actually, hey, like, let's all do it together. And we could, if we find it, she won't find it. But really, I feel like it's like, I want to find it for myself, but it gives us the green light to actually go idol hunting, and let's make it a group project. But we all know how them group projects work. It's the one person that do it, and then everybody else just shows up.
It's true.
I think it was a good idea to send them all out Like, all right, let's find her so she doesn't do anything crazy.
But also
And,
so you can find it, right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you right. So
Yeah, but also we're gonna get some eyes on her, and we'll look, and and then Emily calls Sabaya right out, like, nah, y'all are coming to spy on me. What's up?
Yeah. And we actually see that Brandon ends up finding this beware advantage, but decides to basically give it to Sabaya because he wants to protect his vote. And Sabaya is all for it. And now I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I'm a little torn because I'm like, at first I was like, Brandon, you gotta make a play here. But then I was like, if you give it to Sabaya and she opens it up right in front of you, you're getting all the same intel without the risk of losing your vote, which could be smart. Granted, this one happened to be like I think basically the person who finds the beware advantage is kind of the one who's supposed to end up with the idol because that's how they get their vote back. But now that I think about it, obviously hindsight's 2020. I also think for Brandon, if you're aware of your position in the tribe, sure, you might think Emily might go out before you, but you have to see this alliance of Caleb, Spy, and Sean forming, where essentially your vote's not really going to matter. And so why not make a big play and try to go get yourself something that could change your game? Because right now it's been sloppy. But guys, if you're Brandon here, what do you do?
I wouldn't have thought to hand it over, but I don't think we've ever seen that, right? As far as getting a beware and handing it right over. So I thought it was a pretty smart idea for exactly the reason you said. He's getting all the intel. He's not risking his vote.
It's what I've been saying in this new era of Survivor. I don't want the beware. I thought that's exactly what I would have done. I don't want to say no chickens or a duck on Thursday, Monday, right? I don't want to have to decipher no codes because I'm half dyslexic anyway. Like, I want to make my alliance with Sabaya. Sabaya is, in my opinion, like a natural leader, right? I feel like I'd be drawn to her. So I think that was like the greatest move that Brandon could have done. Something I would have done, right? Because he knows the game and he knows that, like, he probably needs his vote. So it's like, let me forge this relationship. But for me, it's like what I love the most about Brandon is that when they went for this idol hunt, right, it took them to a tree that they had to then find, and then it seemed really, really high. Now, in previous seasons, as I watch the show, I feel like, there are people that I admire, and, sometimes it's like, hey, I'm the ladder. On this episode, I was like, Brandon must have been a member of the Purple Pants Posse because Brandon said, listen, Sabaya, I'm the ladder. So use me, okay? And for me, when people normally do stuff like this, right, it's like, if I'm saying, Jack, hey, like, you can't reach that, let me get down. Most people are like, I'm not going to do that. Like, Sabaya said, okay, Sabaya wanted that idol. Like, she had no problem stepping on Brandon's back. You know how most people are like, no, like, we'll figure it out. Sabaya said, whoop. So I was here for it.
Yeah, she's seen Brandon on the ground a few times, so I think maybe it's like she's like, let me at least, if you're gonna be on the ground, let's at least use it for good here.
It's like, okay, finally, Brandon, we know what you're good at. You say you're the ladder. So
yeah, and I just wanted to kind of circle back on my thoughts about, like, in the moment when Brandon gave Sabaya the beware advantage, I definitely was like, I think that's really smart for the reasons we've talked about. Gives you information without risk. But here for me, I do think, like I said, if I'm Brandon, maybe I think Emily goes before me, but even still, the trajectory he's been on where it's kind of been crashing downwards, and you see this alliance of three that's kind of clearly in control, I feel like his vote, or maybe he should know that his vote isn't that important. Whereas if he could find an idol, that can maybe get him to the next phase of the game where he can kind of have a reset. So it's obviously easier to say that knowing that how we know how things shake out. But I do think although I love his idea of like the giveaway, I do think for him in the position he's in, maybe he needs to risk it. Granted, we see him risk it a little bit later, and then we can touch on how that shakes out when we get there. But last thing going on at Lulu before, the challenge and everything that I wanted to touch on was Caleb and Emily start to form a bit of a bond. Where Caleb kind of sees that he says he's starting to see sort of how Emily operates. It's a great picture Brice just brought up. He starts to see how Emily operates, and sees that, I guess, she's willing to grow and figures, I mean, he says a bad player would continue to isolate her and a good player would take her under their wing and try to help her improve as a player and then utilize that to their advantage. I think we could all agree it's great to see Emily start to make progress as a person and a game player. But I am curious about your guys' perspective about, you know, what Caleb thinks about this situation. Is it smart of Caleb to go do this, or is he putting himself in jeopardy by kind of sticking his neck out? What do you guys make of this whole dynamic?
I love it, right? Like, I think it's the smartest move. It's a mutually beneficial relationship, in my opinion, right? Because in Emily's eyes, and I'm sure to everyone else, Caleb is a very strong member on that team. However, the numbers are dwindling down quick, right? And it's like, in my opinion, I always wanted Emily because it's very likely that Emily can be a shield to Caleb, because if there's an Emily around, there's always something that you could throw out to be like, yeah, she's got to go. But for him to bring her in his wing, knowledge is power. And the odd couples sometimes are the best ones, because it's like Emily can get information, Caleb can get information. In my opinion, it just behooves Caleb to work with Emily, and for Emily to, you know, sometimes it's like you can't beat them, join them. And so I love the fact that Emily and Caleb had this relationship where it's like he can help Emily get to the Emily that we need to see. But I love it. I think that's such a smart move. I think the easiest move is to vote her out. But to keep her, it's like, if I have to go, I know that Emily will go before me, and that gives me time. So I love this relationship.
I think it's a great game move. I think if you understand that you want Brandon out first before Emily because of his how he performs in challenges, then all right, we don't know how long Emily will be here. You know what? I'm going to work this relationship with her and just see where it goes. Why not? Why not open up that line of communication? Why not be the first one to open up that line of communication before someone else scoops her up? So I thought, and again, sometimes it's hard to do that. Like, if someone rubs you the wrong way, if someone's pointing the finger at you for the first 5 days, it is hard to swallow your pride that, you know, you might want to just vote her out of the island because you know your tribe is a hot mess and you know you will have the opportunity to. For you to say, you know what, I'm going to turn these Lululemons into lemonade and make a relationship. I think it's a great, great move on behalf of Caleb. And I don't think all Survivor players are willing to make that move.
Yeah, I like your little Lululemon to lemonade thing. That was good. I like it, but a part of me is a little torn about it, and I can't quite like articulate why. I do feel like maybe when you have such a clear-cut alliance, that when you're trying to kind of extend these olive branches to the minority, it can look a little shady. Now, I do think Caleb handled it with a lot of tact, where, at least from what we saw, his conversations with her were more so on like an emotional and like personality level, where it wasn't him saying like, hey, let's have an alliance. It was more so him saying like, hey, here's how you can kind of win people over a little bit more. And I think that tactic was a lot better, because he can genuinely go to his alliance and he's not working with Emily, but he's just trying to help her on like a personal level that could become a game level. So I would also agree that I like the move, especially if you think Brandon's kind of your next guy out. But I do think if they were thinking, hey, maybe Emily's our next person out, then it's a little bit like, I don't know. You don't want to start being paired up with Emily, then she goes, and then it's sort of like, oh, well, Caleb was working with her now. Yeah. But I think Caleb could be smooth. I've liked what we've seen from him so far. Now we're going to jump over to Reba. First thing we see on their beach is Jay Maya up at the tribe flag, trying to unscramble whatever code is up there. Not really trying to be secretive about it, which I think is fair. I'm sure, I think as maybe Austin or Drew mentioned, everyone's curious about it. So I'm sure people are going up and looking at it. She seems to be, and I think she does we know that she does punning. I think she might do some sort of I don't know. She's obviously very intelligent. And so she's looking at this flag and the code. And I think she even says, I might be looking too much into this, because I think she's trying to unscramble it. It's a completely sort of different code, when in reality, it's just halves of letters. And so she's not able to make any ground with it. But then Austin pulls up with his parchment that he got from his Beware advantage, and he's able to figure it out that you can connect it to the letters to like make a complete phrase, which is what is it I wrote down? Dig at the fallen palm tree X. And so now we see that Austin has a lead on this next part of his Beware advantage. Other than that, we also see Julie kind of leaning into the mom role. She's got a good relationship with Dee, and she also is developing a good relationship with Drew, almost like a mother-son. And so she notes that Drew and Austin are also kind of close and kind of makes a move to bring that group together to create a 4-person alliance. So that's kind of what's going down at Reba, and I'm wondering what sort of stuck out to you guys.
So I like that it's Tina, right? Julie. I like that move from Julie, because I feel like sometimes on Survivor we will see the quote unquote older woman, even though Julie ain't older, because Wendell older than Julie.
She's your age. She's Brice's age.
But most, sometimes they almost will like Emily themselves, where it's like, I don't fit in. I like, the kids are younger. And I love this in Julie, because it's like, you know what? Why am I going to fight who I am? Let me be a mama bear. Let me come and bring these kids together. Let me bring the fruit snacks to the, you know what I mean? And like, we often don't see that. Sometimes we see where they are isolated and they feel like they're a burden, but it's like, I'm not going to be a burden. I'm packing your Lunchables and we're going to get it together. And I like the fact that she's the one that's bringing them together. Again, so smart. And we've seen this before, but in the recent times, we haven't really seen it a lot. So I was like, okay, Julie, we see you out here playing, and we don't see a lot of Julie. And this is one of the things that I thought about during the episode. I was like, that's important for us to see this arc, right? And especially to see this group forming. And I don't know for what the reason down the line is, but I'm hoping that Mama Julie can crack the whip. And I think that we know that she has the wherewithal to know that I need to get these numbers and I need to make myself a force in this tribe.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think it's a good move on her behalf. Like Brice said, when you're that archetype on this show, sometimes you can be ostracized, and actively not allowing herself to be ostracized, I think, is a great idea.
I also thought it was a pretty impressive performance by J. Maya. For me, it's like, she's smart, right? Like smart. And again, I loved seeing Basil, Drew, come in and kind of them tag teaming it. But again, like for me, I would look at that and be like, oh, that's just a cool little trend of the thing. Like, I wouldn't even think anything of it, right? And so the fact that not only could J. Maya like get into it, but was like actually starting to decode it. And then when Drew came, I was like, okay, like, she's a force. She is smart. She can see things the way that other people can't see. And I think that that is a skill in this game that can take you a lot of places to the end, potentially.
She was trying to decode it,
but again, what I'm trying to tell you is, I would like, that's a cool pattern. Like, look at them turning up for season 45. I would like, that would have never crossed my mind. That's all I'm saying. So like, I feel like she can see things that.
I like that she looked at it and said, this is something that I want to try back. Yeah, I do like that. I do like that.
Yeah. True that. And I like that every camp has a different sort of Beware mission that they have to do. It keeps it fresh.
Love that.
So now we kick it over to the Bello tribe. And over on Bello, it's kind of the Bruce show. And we see we see him hamming it up. He's the drunk uncle. We see it's polarizing. Some people are loving it. Like Jake's like, Bruce is my guy. He reminds me of a lot of people from Boston. And then we see like Katora is like, Bruce is full of it. Like he's just cheesing it up. I'm not buying it. What do you guys think about what we've seen from Bruce?
I think it's interesting, right? Like, I could see Katora's side when I've been on a tribe before where somebody is, it kind of like Bruce was reminding me a little bit of like Alexis, right? Where in my mind, it's like I loved Alexis, but like the Alexis that would like pander to LJ and Jeremiah would work my nerves, right? And I would be like, and so I can understand where Couture is coming from. But in the same token, at first just seeing Bruce being a dad and just Brucing needs to be a whole like Survivor segment in itself, right? I feel like we truly were robbed of Bruce in season 44 because the fact that this Brucey exists is mind-blowing, right? And so again, there are people that can see Couture's side. However, I think we got a confessional where Bruce was talking about he turns it on, right? Like, so the fact that he's aware that he is a threat, the fact that like he knows all of this, and it's like his way to combat it is like, let me be the drunk Uncle Bruce who wanna party. Like, for me, I think it's genius, right? Like, I just hope that he is able to transition that. But again, for him to have that wherewithal to know what he needs to do, I think is absolutely remarkable. And he's playing a lot harder than what this edit is giving him. And yeah.
I think Brice, I think Brice, you can turn on the Brice Isaiah and turn it off. I've seen times where you are just like, reserve, and I've seen times when you've been extra, extra, extra. And I think you're right. In his case, he knows when to turn it on and when to, like, in confessionals, you see him being silly sometimes, but you also see him sometimes just talking like, all right, I turned on the Bruce and, so I think it's a good disarming strategy to do that. But in the case with Katora, it's rubbing her the wrong way. And I wanted to talk about this because there's like this beef now almost, but I think it's a one-way beef.
Yeah.
I think it's Katora is being rubbed the wrong way by Bruce, from Bruce just existing in his Bruceness. And so she'll go in her confessionals and, charge him up a little bit. And then, but I don't think she's communicating that to him. So he's going to keep on Brucing. And I feel like she's going to keep on feeling a type of way about it. And I don't know. I think Brucing, I think it's making a lot of people enjoy him except for Katura.
I disagree because I don't necessarily think it's a beef, right? I feel like Katura is seeing the Bruce play, right? And at the end of the day, it's a game. And it's like, I feel like she could see maybe the people following the Bruceness, and that kind of is like, they're forgetting that he is a threat, right? And I feel like in the confessionals we get that, but I don't necessarily think it's a beef. For me, it's like identifying an issue, and it's like kind of sort of playing. It's like kind of almost the same thing with like Emily on the other tribe when the people were identifying Emily as the issue. It's just kind of like the complete opposite because it's only Katura out. Now, mind you, I took a photo with Rob at our event, and a meme started storming the internet, and baby, I was dying with Michael Bloom in the back talking to Izzy from Big Brother. Shout out. But they were having a serious conversation, but it just looks like Michael Bloom is mad, and not me being the Bello tribe, Rob being Bruce, and Mike in the back being Couture. I just thought that was low-key.
That's a good
hilarious.
one. This could be viral. Like, you could put any three on that.
Right.
But Brice, it sounds like what you're saying is, no, she doesn't have a beef with him. What she's doing is recognizing that Bruceness is game, and he is currently in favor of the tribe by doing it.
And she recognizes that Bruce thing could come and swing her away, right? So it's like, I feel like, again, she's an attorney, right? She's a civil rights attorney. So it's like she is very good at, in my opinion, identifying so I just feel like it's her identifying that they are eating it up and potentially like aligning, and it's leaving her out. And if it's leaving her out, then that's, again, but that's something that she need to work on. But I just feel like I can recognize that. Like, I feel like I could understand how she feels.
I like that perspective, Brice. I think that is one way of looking at it. That is not a way that I was looking at it. So that could very well be true. She could just recognize his game and understand
Game
that that's
recognize game, right?
yeah, you're right. So I mean, time will tell.
For me, I honestly think it's somewhere in between. I think you guys both made good points because I did look at it as like a one-sided beef. Like obviously Bruce doesn't know that Katurah feels this way about him, but at the same time, the way she's feeling about him is partly because of I think his
likability, his like, you know, he's disarming the fact that like he has a huge advantage over the other people. But not to cut you off, Jack, I just want to know why Bruce got one when he got on that boat. Why was he doing that?
He did every dance on a boat, Brice.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too. I think Katurah, she understands his likability, but she also understands that his energy is a little over the top, which I think, independent of him being very likable, is just rubbing her a little bit the wrong way. But I love this.
Yeah, I was going to say I also could see it in a world where could it be that maybe Katurah and Bruce have talked, right? And Katurah doesn't necessarily see that Bruce, right? And so it's like even more of showing how powerful and how persuading like Uncle Brucey could be. Like, so I don't know, there's just a lot of ways to break it down, but I love it, right? Like I feel like in the new age of Survivor, we don't necessarily get to see these type of like dilemmas brewing, and they're like amazing dilemmas, right? Like, or not amazing dilemmas, but like interesting to watch.
Yeah,
it's a cool dynamic. It tells a cool story. You're seeing a little more of what's going on at the camp, and we might not have even gotten this storyline in a previous season. Like this stuff happens. People get rubbed the wrong way by people all the time. And again, the 90 minutes is giving us more of these tribe dynamics.
Right. 100%. And just last episode, Katurah was playing Jack. I mean, Jake, right? Like a lawyer, like, you know, like, so it's like she has it. So it's like, again, game recognized game. So is it like her being like, is he outwitting me? Like, again, it's an interesting dynamic.
For sure.
And so I think
that begs the question. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, at our panel, I thought Marianne brought up a very interesting topic about, like, sometimes being edited, right? Like, and sometimes someone will be edited as annoying, right? But is the person annoying, or is the person, you might have to explain this better, Wendell, annoyed by, like,
am I an annoying person, or do I annoy you, or something like that? Yeah.
So I think that kind of almost lends to this. Like, is Uncle Bruce being over the top, or however,
or is she just perceiving it that way?
Right. Because you see the game.
I think Bruce is being over the top. And
now, why would you say that?
And I think people I think there are a lot of people that receive it well. And I think Katurah receives it as either, like you said, game, or this guy's being a joker, and that ain't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So
craziest thing to me is that Bruce on 44 was on Tika. Imagine him with Carolyn, Jam, Carson. That would have been just maybe the best mix of people of all time. So
I never even thought about it like that, Jack. And again, the more Brucey we get to see, he would have fit right in. Like,
yeah, I know.
Him and Jam.
Oh my God. Him and Carolyn.
What?
Crazy. But if you don't mind, pull that picture of Bruce on the boat back up, because next up we have this Survivor journey where Bruce, and I gotta say, I thought it was hilarious that Bruce, did you see at the end when he was doing like the peekaboo in the boat?
Oh my God.
That was hilarious. So we got Bruce going from Bello. We got Drew going from Reba. He went to an Ivy League school. I don't know if you guys picked up on that. And then we got Brandon going from Lulu. And when they reach the separate island, they get a little bit of a chance to talk. Drew is kind of facilitating, kind of looking at like a network event. And I think we get this interesting dichotomy.
What's the name of the network, Jack?
The Ivy League Connections Summit. The Young Professionals TV Summit.
This the first annual?
First annual Napoleon Dynamite collaboration effort. But Drew is kind of trying to get a little information from everybody for some potential connections down the line, which I think is great. And we see this interesting, I guess, juxtaposition of Brandon being very forthcoming with some information, whereas Bruce keeps a little bit closer to the chest, which Drew thinks is a bad decision. If you guys are in these players' shoes on this summit with people from tribes that you're not familiar with, what situation are you giving a lot of information? Are you keeping it? Like, what's your approach?
I think we have learned that the Roxroy approach does not work well. Like, I feel like you have to give them something, even if it's made up. Like, I feel like to give something, but not divulge everything. So I would like, my response was, so, okay, great. So we're at the summit. Jack, you are Drew, right? So my response would be like, back on the Solana tribe, like we're all getting along. It's great. There are some pockets of people kind of breaking off and forming like little alliances, but for overall, like, we're strong. Like that's the type of answer that I would give. Wendell?
I think I'd give a little more than just that.
Well,
and I'd also
we're at the summit now. So give it, like, tell us.
Yeah, Wendell, how's your tribe?
Which tribe am I?
Let's say you're
Lulu.
Hello.
Let's say you're Brandon.
Yeah. Well, you guys have seen my performance, and my tribe is essentially, we're a hot mess, and I'm leading the charge of the hot mess. We got Emily running around doing the Emily. She seems like she's a little ostracized. Nah, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that because they would pick her off as soon as they would scoop her up as soon as there is a swap or a merge. I'd let them know that we're a hot mess, but we're all good people. We're happy. I wouldn't let them know who's like the strongest, even though they would probably assume that it's Caleb already. Clearly,
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, you give them enough info without letting them know who's on the outs. But also, I would also want to like find a way to like, hey, this is an opportunity, guys. Like maybe if we see each other down the road, maybe we could look out for each other or something. Not too much, but like, hey, I wouldn't be opposed to doing something with y'all should the opportunity arise.
Sure.
I always get nervous with conversations like that because I feel like I don't want to come off too thirsty because there are some people that will be like, oh, he's trying to and I feel like I would give thirst bucket off. So I'm always leery of like things like that. I will hope that it would come up naturally, but in that situation, I would be scared because I would be like, let's make this a thing. Like, I would just be very direct and I don't know how that would work because they'd be like, we can't trust him.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in between, right? Like you said, Brice, if you come off like too comfortable, then I think people will be like, oh, well, maybe they're in the core alliance of the tribe. Maybe they're leading the tribe, which isn't the type of person I necessarily want to pick up if there's a swap or a merge. But if you're like, I'm desperate, like my tribe hates you, I need you, then I'll just be like, all right, like they're just willing to jump ship. Like I think you got to make it look like, you're cool, calm, and collected, but you're open for business a little bit.
Yeah, I like that approach.
But now the players venture off on 3 different paths, and they arrive at this not do or die, but like they can risk their vote in the attempt to win an advantage. And so they're told that there's going to be a bunch of these separate tiles. You have to match these tiles up, and 3 are not going to have a pair, and then those 3 are going to have numbers on them that you could put on this lockbox to open the box and win your advantage. And you have 3 minutes to do this. We kind of get 3 different perspectives here. Bruce wants to play it safe, decides to protect his vote. Drew realizes the importance of his vote, but kind of says, F it. Like, we're on Survivor. Let's go. So he goes Basile on him. And then Brandon is like, I'm a puzzle guy. I'm here to play. Let's do this. And so he also plays. We see Brandon. I think Brandon from the edit comes out a little bit stronger in this challenge. He's making matches. Drew's messed a couple things up, but then Brandon is going through every combination, can't get it. We see Drew figures out his 3 numbers. One is different than Brandon's, and then Drew starts cooking up on the box and is able to get it. At which point we basically realize Brandon's got the numbers wrong. He's not going to get it. And so Brandon, voteless, Drew wins a safety without power. I think we saw that with Jeremy and Winners at War, where you can leave before the votes are cast.
Yeah.
And just cruise on home. What do you guys think about this little challenge?
I like this new iteration of this island. Now you go out there, you have your little meeting, and then you go, and now you got to do a challenge. I like it.
I like it too. Do you think we're going to see that most of the season? Because we saw that episode 1 with the sweater savvy. You had to do both, compete. We see it here. Is that the new direction it's going this season, you think?
Yes.
I like it. Okay.
I like it. I miss the long walk. I like listening to the post interviews of like the past couple of seasons when they had to take that journey, and they all said it was like a 2-hour journey. I think that a part of that journey kind of like helps cement those relationships, which is why I feel like for here, they just arrived on those boats and then it's like, this is the time to get to know each other. And so it feels very calculated, right? I miss the journey aspect of it a little bit because I feel like that is what will really kind of like when you get the more organic conversations. But I love it. I love Bruce playing it safe, like, you know, any good dad with a family would do. You know, they're not going to risk it for the biscuit. And I am loving this edit of Drew Basile that we're getting, right? And I don't know if it was me, but as Drew was talking, he did a lot of narrating this episode. I felt like I was listening to an audiobook, right? Like he brought the Game of Thrones essence in it. He was giving us like, you know, a young leader, like a Joffrey, but a potentially good Joffrey, but we don't really know how that's going to go. But the way that he was narrating and the way that he was like putting and seeing how the things can move, I'm like, okay, here in the 90 minutes, we're getting more of this Drew Basile that like kind of has like a little like not an evil side, but a sinister side of like kind of like putting these pieces together. And I'm like, okay, Drew Basile, I'm here for this. So just listening to him narrate these things for me was making me an even more big fan of Basile, because I definitely believe that was Basile narrating.
Yeah. That's a good point. I do want to throw out, I thought it was interesting how they had different methods of going about this puzzle. When Drew was throwing his blocks in the sand, I was like, that's a bad idea. If you realize you messed up, now all your blocks are just in the sand. I thought Brandon's stacking idea was good until I realized, like, if you're wrong, now you got to like undo. I think what I would do is once I have a pair, just put them next to each other and then off to the side. So when you're done, you could just scan over all your stuff real quick, just make sure it's all good. But obviously 3 minutes wasn't a lot of time. And so you're in a rush. It's hard to be able to like think about all that. Because if you're taking that time to do that, maybe you don't have enough time to do the lock. This just got me thinking about like the idea of risking your vote, especially in the pre-merge. And like when and when not to do it. I think that's a conversation maybe for another day because we can go really into it. But I do think it's interesting. Like there's obviously certain positions within the tribe that you would want to be in or not be in order to risk your vote. And I don't think it's a bad idea to keep your vote, especially 6 people. But of course, when you're in the moment, sometimes you want to risk it for the biscuit. And then let's talk about, so Drew wins the safety without power. Not a crazy. It's basically a less powerful idol because you can't vote. You don't stay around. But I also think, and I guess this brings us into when they go back to camp, they're both open and honest about what they did get. And I actually think this is the type of advantage where it's ideal for a Drew to be open and honest because it's not a very threatening advantage. It's not a, oh, I'm gonna steal someone's vote or I could idle you out of the game. It's if I'm a little worried or anyone else in our tribe is worried, we can just piece out a tribal and we're not going to be able to directly stab anyone. It's a very passive advantage, which is less threatening. And then Brandon tells his tribe that he lost, which they all believe very quickly. But what'd y'all make of this?
I think that I think it's funny, but it's funny how they all believe Brandon. Like, yeah, you did. But in Drew's case, yeah, I think he played that right. Let him know what he got and said, "This is for us." You know, if we need to use it to get somebody up out of here really quick, if we know that they're a target, it's ours.
And it ends at 10. And so when it ends at final 10, it's also for me, it's like, this isn't something that's going to make or break my game at the final 5. You know, if I'm cool with Drew, I'm going to be like, oh, you could use that at final 10, I guess. And then we're back to normal, you know? Brice, what about you?
So again, I started thinking about you when this came up because, you know, I'm the probability person that loves to think of this. Is this more powerful in the smaller tribes, right? Because if you can use it up to your 10, but you removing yourself wouldn't necessarily change the vote. However, if it's a tribe of 4 and you remove it, like, I think that the effects of it potentially could have a more casting effect. But I wanted to know your thoughts on that, being as though, you know, you're good with the numbers.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I actually love the question. It's something I hadn't really thought about. And I think it is kind of similar to the shot in the dark in a way, where if you're in a tribe of 4, you know, that the value of that, like the likelihood you're going to get voted out on average, much higher than if you're in a tribe of 11 at the merge. But at the same time, if you're in that tribe of 4, your vote is also a lot more impactful than if you're in that tribe of 11. I would lean towards it saying it's more powerful when you're down to about 4 or 5 people, just because that target is so much bigger on you. But obviously, it kind of varies onto if you're maybe a swing vote, right? Like if you're in a tribe of 5 and you're in an alliance of 3, and now but you're maybe a little bit worried someone could flip on you from your alliance. Now you go home, or now you don't go home, you go back to camp with this advantage. But now your 2 allies that were going to vote with you, it's now 2-2, throws everything for a loop. Whereas say it's like there's a core of, say you're in like a Lulu situation and you're a Brandon, and the core 3 could be voting you, or they could be voting Emily. Then that's its most powerful, because you're just like, all right, I don't even have to worry about this. My vote doesn't really matter. I can just peace out. Whereas if he gets it at like an 11, it's a nice safety net. You know, you're not going to go home, but I don't think it could really be leveraged to be as advantageous, because like, even if Drew is like aware he's the target, he dips out. Well, then now the majority alliance has a chance to just pick a new target.
If Brandon won, do you believe he would have used it? Do you believe that he would have been?
The answer is yes. Before you even finish the question.
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
We saw him almost use the shot in the dark for no reason.
And if that's the case, is it Emily going home?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm just curious because I'm just thinking
we found out that Emily was the target as well until Hannah quit. I think Hannah might have thought she had that advantage and dipped out.
Not too much on Hannah.
Yeah, but it's for the whole game, so she can never be voted out, but she can never play.
Not too much on my hand.
Yeah,
she used the safety with what is it called?
Safety without playing.
Safe not.
Keep it cute, Jackery. Hannah's our girl.
No, I trust me.
Stop jacking.
If you quit, I'm gonna make my jokes.
Jack.
So what I do wonder, we'll never know. I wonder if Brandon's advantage would have been the same as Drew's.
That is good. That's a good point.
Could it? But because we've seen in the past, they can vary.
Interesting.
But who knows? Now we see a little bit more of Bello here before the immunity challenge. We see the girlies are using their buffs as like tops, and Brando, who's posted up, he's throwing his on too, and just kind of kicking it with the girls. And we see him talk about, he's a little bit more reserved, a little bit more awkward. He's 22, so he's younger. He was worried he wouldn't blend with everybody, but here he is getting along with the girls. They're talking game to him. He's getting along with the fellas. They're talking game with him. And then now he and then Kelly find themselves in sort of this swing position where there's a Bruce and Jake, kind of the alpha East Coast guys, and then a Kendra and a Katora. And Kelly, and they're both, those two duos are wanting to work with Brando and Kelly. And so now they're in kind of a swing spot. What do you make of Brando's position? If you are a Brando and a Kelly, who do you think you would want to work with? Give me your take.
I mean, I love, again, we get to see more of this character arc from a Brando. I almost reminds me a little bit of like a Carson, right? Like I feel like he has a lot of game in him, and I feel like his social skills are amazing. And so it's like I don't know which way he will lean towards, but I definitely love the fact that he's like leaning into this power position with not really attempting to go after the power, right? It's like him just kind of like out here surviving, and now he's landed in this spot, which I would hope to think that if things get a going, he'll be in a position where he can kind of maneuver himself to safety. So I love that for Brando.
Now, here's my question. Did we see the three women get really close last episode? So one might venture to say that for whatever the first, if they have to vote someone out is first, I think the first shot might have strategically, just so that, because if we saw the three of them clearly get close, we watched that, then the first shot might have to be at that, just so that now it's, so then he could truly be a swing player. So then now it's like you had the three girls, now you have the two women, and you have the two guys, and you have Brando in the middle.
I would think the first shot will potentially be a Bruce or a Jake or a Luke. Like, that's where Brando kind of like swings over. Like, I see this.
Luke.
I'm done.
There's not even another guy on that tribe. There's not even a dude.
I just let it go too. I'm like, yeah, he could take out Luke if he wants, or Jake.
It could be Luke.
Jake. If I ever met Jake in person, I'm sure I would have called him Luke 4 times, and I'm sure he just went along with it. But no, I would think that they probably would be targets. And I think,
but why do you say that? What's the logic behind shooting at a 2 as opposed to a 3?
If the women have come together, and we saw that, right? And now we're saying that Brando and who else was the Kelly were the sweet vote.
Yeah.
But yeah. I feel like we saw the women together, right? So it's like they're really not the swing vote. They're the majority, and especially if they have Brando. So I'm saying that, like, and again, with what we know with Katora, like, I feel like maybe she won't take a shot at Bruce. Maybe she'll try to weaken Bruce by getting rid of Luke, that is the Jake. So again, I feel like we have so much to speculate off of so much information from the 90 minutes is what I love, right? Because there's so much information from last episode, these little nuances that, like, I don't know if really Kelly and Brando are in a swing vote position. Could really it be Bruce and Luke? That is Jake.
Here's my thinking, and actually I rewatched the Survivor Kagyeon premiere last night, and it was kind of watching the dynamics on Luzon, the Green Tribe, infamous, kind of put this idea in my mind about how do you navigate these pre-merge dynamics as a swing vote. And I think it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, but if I'm a Brando or a Kelly here, I think what I do is leave a duo and then a single that are the least likely to come together to take me and my middle person out. And then obviously, I think ideally leave a single that you can maybe flip, like bring back in after the vote out. Sorry, I might have lied a little bit there. Leave a single that you and your duo person could bring back in after the vote out and create a trio, and then take out that obvious duo. So in my mind, obviously we know the dynamics a little bit better. You can kind of see that Katurah and Bruce aren't getting along super great. But we also see that Kelly seems to be getting along with Bruce. Brando seems to be getting along with Bruce. I think if for a Kelly and a Brando, as I hate to say it because I like him, I think you maybe take out a Jake. Then you know Bruce and Katurah and Kendra probably aren't going to work together. And then you could say, and then you still like Bruce. You say, hey, Bruce, come with me. And like, I guess if I'm Brando, I'd say, come with me and Kelly. And then now let's take out a Katurah or Kendra. And then you get yourself down to 4 with you and your closest ally, who are the swing votes. Now you control the tribe. And that's, if you're trying to think about, of course, Bella's maybe the strongest tribe in this season, so they might not have to worry that far ahead. But if I'm on a tribe like a Luzon or like a Lulu that is losing, then it's good to be, it's you want to think those steps ahead where you're always going to be that middle person. And people might even know you're the middle person, but because you're leaving people that don't get along, like a Bruce and a Katurah, or like a Jatia and a Spencer, you know that you'll control the narrative.
Leave
That's
people
smart.
that don't get along in it. That's a great strategy.
Yeah. But obviously people you still want to work with, but you don't want to be in a spot where like, oh, you take out a Bruce and now like, not that this would necessarily happen, but like a Jake, a Katurah, and a Kendra are like, yo, they've been playing both sides. Let's us 3 get together. You want to leave people that aren't going to get together.
I like it.
I like it.
That's game.
Yeah. So now we get to the challenge. It's you climb up this tower in the water. You grab a club, I guess you would say, smash a key off a ring, do a little swimming, cross a balance beam, and that's a 1 at a time thing for 3 people. And then when they get all the keys to the last platform, 2 people unlock a survivor puzzle. It's like another vertical jigsaw. I guess it's a tree type of thing, or coral maybe. I don't know. Just to quickly recap, we see everyone kind of crush it on the smashing portion, which is dope.
We had some standouts.
Who would you say who stood out?
We know who Brice. Go ahead, Brice. Put your boy up there. Go ahead.
I don't even have it, but I thought Luke stood out. No, I mean, Austin and Caleb was doing their thing. I felt like Austin was like, and then Caleb came with that. I said, oh, but then Sean came. I was like, okay, we see you, Sean. We're not going to leave out our King Sean, because I felt like Sean was in the air flying. And so I just,
Yeah. No, it was fun watching like the action shots of them leaping and then also having to hit something, because some of them were going like trying to go Babe Ruth in there with swinging.
I mean, they definitely were, but I watched the episode. I wasn't planning on leaving with a hemorrhoid because my girl Kendra, baby, I know black and blue somewhere because the way Kendra okay, listen.
She fell on that beam.
She fell on that wood. Okay, listen. Now, in my day, I done slipped and slide a couple of places. I call only bitch so lucky. Okay. Kendra knew what she was doing. Kendra said, slide to the left. Boom. Okay, slide. Okay. I mean, that's normally how I do it. But, sometimes I'll crisscross it.
Oh, my God.
Okay. I worry as a guy. I worry as a guy that type of challenge,
that could be so bad.
And then you land in the water too, and you're just out. Tough.
But shout out to Kendra for getting right back up.
For real.
Because do you know why, Jack?
Because we fall down.
But we get up. We fall down. But we get up. Get back up again. But I was thinking of, because if at first you don't succeed.
You can dust it off and try again.
You can dust it off and try again. Try again. Jack, put your hands up. First you don't succeed. I want to see your hands. You can dust it off and try again. Dust it off and try again.
Try again.
If I go, should I say?
Oh,
I don't know.
This ain't a yes.
This ain't a no.
Do it, hey. This is how it go. Oh,
No. If you don't succeed, you could dust it off and try again. Dust it off and try again. Try again. It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a dope beat to step two. Step two. Step two. Step two.
It's been a long time.
Hey.
Shouldn't have left you.
Hey.
No beat to step two. Step
Okay.
two. Step two. Step two. Step two. To the Bruce.
Okay, right. If at first you don't succeed, you can Bruce yourself and Bruce again. You can Bruce yourself and Bruce again. If at first you don't succeed, boom, boom, boom. You can Bruce it up and Bruce again. You can Bruce it up and Bruce again. Bruce again.
Oh, that was a good
Jackery.
one. Go ahead, Jack.
Not
Yeah,
you popping up. I saw that, Jack.
Listen to yourself.
I was hitting the whole Bruce collection.
I know.
Yeah, so Reba and Bello get
Oh no, Jack.
Jackery. What are you? You thought you were gonna slide past that one?
yeah, I did.
What you got for us, Jack?
I mean, I've heard that saying before.
Has somebody sampled it?
If at first you don't succeed, try again. That's inspirational.
Jack's like trying to get some AI to listen to what he's saying right now.
Right. Not ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Look at him looking everywhere.
We need
Jack.
an answer, Jack.
No, I'm actually not looking. I'm just trying to, like, I don't have anything around me.
All right, who sings it?
I have no idea.
Give us, you got to at least try artist. Well, at least try the type.
Is a solo artist or a group?
We're not. No, Jack.
That's like a fair.
It's a solo artist. I'll even give you a hint. Rest in peace.
That's like most of them.
Damn.
Well, I mean, that sounds, but like in the history of music, like,
Jeez, Jackery.
is a man or a woman?
Did you hear how we were singing, Jack?
I can never tell. You guys don't have any pitch.
We have beautiful angelic voices. What are you saying right now? At first you don't succeed.
Touch yourself. Your love is a 1 in a million. It goes on and on and on. You give.
I just know I'm gonna guess, and it's gonna be so off. It's gonna be embarrassing.
All day. Love it, babe.
Babe.
Love it, babe. Love it. Doom, doom.
I have a guess.
Doom.
How long?
Doom, doom. Doom, 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 doom. Turn me inside out. Make my heart
bang. No one else can do what you do. Turn me inside out. Make my heart beat. See no one else. You're all I need. Personality. Everything you do. No one else. Cause you
love everything about you. Cause your
love is the 1 in a million. It goes on and on. Okay.
Wait.
Cause I'm sending him a 4-page letter. Corey and I enclosed it with a kiss. And when I write Corey, he better get it on time.
That was great.
Rock the boat.
I want you to rock the rock. Hold on, wait. I want you to hold on, wait. I want you to rock the boat, work the middle, change, new position, Position. Bruce it for me. Bruce it for me. Bruce it. I can't look at Bruce's eye. Okay. Now we didn't gave you a whole
medley.
a whole catalog.
You're speaking a different language than I am. I don't know.
Okay, well, give us a Jack. You not new to this.
I don't have like a guess. Like I'm.
Well, just give us a guess.
Doom, 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 doom.
Ooh, that sounds familiar.
Doom, doom, doom,
Doom,
doom, doom, doom, doom,
doom,
doom,
doom,
doom,
doom,
doom,
doom,
doom.
doom.
Boy,
Boy,
I've been watching
you like a hawk in the sky, like I wish you were
And
my
you were my
friend.
I promise you.
Ask you if we keep bumping heads, Bruce. One of
These
these days,
we gonna
we
turn
gonna
it out.
make it out. And
And promise I'll tell you, but if
if I let you know,
you
you
can't tell
get to know
nobody.
about it. I'm talking about nobody. I hope you're responsible.
Boy, I gotta watch
Just
my
tell somebody. I'm not just anybody. Is it my own? Is it your own? I'm not that goody. Corey, right now I'm naughty.
Say
yes, so say no, because I need somebody. Tell you that somebody.
Baby girl. I'm the man
Oh,
from the beat.
Hey,
play
around my way.
Hey, what I say.
KK.
Because I am the man. Shake my hand. Baby girl.
Oh,
Better known as a leader. Give me goosebumps. Say how
my way.
Hey, this believer. Don't you know? Gotta tell somebody. Cause
I need somebody. Tell you about somebody. Jack.
What?
Okay, I know that song. I've heard it.
For the people that get it, and they're gonna be in the comments and be like, Wendell, I'm dying. But Jack, you're not getting out of this. So, like, just give us a guess.
I don't even have a guess. Like, I don't.
He passed away before he was born, but that doesn't matter.
That definitely mattered. We didn't even live on this earth at the same time.
Jack, you and I are 4 years apart. Okay, I am.
Damn.
Jack,
just
you
give
are
us the guess.
Jackery Atkins.
I don't know.
They said that she was Beyonce before Beyonce.
But I mean, we can have a whole podcast about that because I love this artist, but like,
don't do it. Keep it cute. Not too much on.
Can I get like a multiple choice?
Okay, we'll give you a multiple choice.
Okay.
I will give you. Hold on.
Give him option one.
So I will give you Candy Burris,
Lisa Left Eye Lopez,
Aaliyah.
It's Aaliyah.
I mean, he only rapped her name and said it twice, Jack. But
and I slowed it down, baby.
But listen. Jack, you might be out on Survivor, and this might be a new era challenge. We are only helping you out.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Jack, you might be at a party.
It
might be a chocolate sister that's over there in the corner looking good. You might come up to say, I need somebody. Tell me about, and that listen, Jack, we try to help you out.
Okay.
I got my moves, don't worry. You heard of Shazam? No. Oh, I couldn't even hear the song, baby. I was so distracted by you. Ooh.
Oh my God. Just do a pull up on her with a Bruce dance and
hey,
you.
What's up, baby?
You better get up out of your chair.
It was when Bruce, for me, it was when after the challenge was over and Bruce was like,
wait, what?
He just walked off.
Oh, he did?
He was like, see ya.
Like,
I was like, you ever owe somebody money? You gotta do the Bruce. Hey, you got my $4? Okay, Jack during this podcast, Wendell asked me the title of the song.
Do you know who sung that song?
Okay, now this isn't funny. I'm
Brice,
doing this with
Brice. What happened to you in the 3rd episode in Cagayan?
I'm doing this with love. This is with love. Hannah said. That's with love. Okay.
Brice, what's your next Irish goodbye gonna look like?
Okay. My last one.
That's like Brandon when he sees a wall.
Wait, Jack, this is good.
That's all love, though. I love Brandon, but
Jack.
So
Jack, wait, Jack, this one is good. Wendell at Windows at War.
That's not funny. That's not funny.
wait, Wendell at the comeback challenge.
I almost
wait. Okay. My last one. Oh, darn it. I just tore Zaddy Kellinger. Oh, no, wait. This is my last one. Whew. Kendra on that balance beam. Okay, my last one. Okay. Oh, wait. Bruce on season 44.
Yeah, wait, I got one cooked up. I got one cooked up.
What you got?
Seafood when they catch him in the spy shack.
Yo,
I was just playing, guys.
Yo, Sandra on the edge of extinction.
Hold on, wait.
Where were we, Jack?
You're sweating,
Jack. I'm dying. Jack on the floor is alive.
That's facts.
So if you're listening to the pod, I apologize because Brice has thrown himself on his floor about 17 times straight, and he is sweating right now. So make sure you watch it on the Brice Isaiah YouTube page, please.
Yeah, this is a must. This is a must watch on the YouTube. I think with all the physicality. I mean, from the Bruce dances to the
Wow.
Right.
You're
okay,
glistening.
So we're on the platform at the challenge, and to make it short and sweet, Reba and Bello both perform well in the puzzle. Reba ends up taking first place. Bello gets second, and Lulu once again loses and is going back to tribal council. We get back to camp, and Brandon takes responsibility for his struggles. And he and Emily kind of both announced that it's kind of between us. So you guys could go make your decision, whatever you want. Which I love. If I'm in the majority, I love that, because I'm like, all right, don't even give anyone an opportunity to scramble. Like, you're making our decision easy. Obviously, Brandon also doesn't have a vote, which is difficult. And so Sabaya and her squad go back to the tree, finally find the idol tied up in the tree, but realize they need to burn it open with wax or with fire. They still don't have their flint, and so they're SOL. Now, question is, I guess, could she burn it at tribal council on the fire? I don't know if that's allowed or not, but that's definitely an option. Of course, that would kind of alert Emily to the fact that she does have an idol. But at some point, if you can't win a challenge, you're going to need to get that idol open. But maybe it's worth saving it until you know you need it, because then it's like,
if you are on the block though, right? Like, say I know I'm going home and I have this piece of wax. When we get to tribal, I'm curious if we'll ever see the day where like you just put it in there and wait for it to come out and say, Jeff, I'm using this. Like that for me, that's
I think you can't. I mean, the rules are unclear, but Survivor loves good TV moments. So I think someone melting out their idol at Tribal Council and then playing it to save themselves, Survivor would be pretty happy about.
Well, yeah, we'll have to check with Adam Klein to see if we could do
anyone can do it except for Adam. If Adam tries it, they'll be like, nope.
They're like, no, you can't.
And then, so I guess before we get into the tribal, what do you guys think about this dynamic? It seems like a pretty clear-cut option A or option B type of vote between Brandon and Emily. If you're in the majority alliance, what's kind of your thought process?
I just really feel like this is where that Caleb and Emily's relationship kind of really shined for me, right? Like I feel like and they talked about it, right? And as much as we love Brandon, like it doesn't seem like his performances are getting any better. So it's like, if they're not getting better, what's my next best option? And so that's again where I see with this Caleb and Emily relationship where it's beneficial, right? Because one, it's like, okay, girl, if I save you this go round and say we're here again, I might have to switch a little. Like, I don't know. I just feel like this is where that planting that seed has come up. And yeah, it was sad though, right? Like I haven't felt this way in a long time, especially this early on in Survivor, where it's like, I don't want to see either of them go home, right? Like I don't want to see like Emily just because Emily is Emily, right? And I feel like I always say I'm on a road to a better Brice, right? I'm all about self-reflecting. I'm all about hearing about myself, growing from myself. And so there's something so relatable about an Emily, and I don't want her to leave. And there's something so relatable about Brandon, who loves this show, who is not scared to be vulnerable, is just so happy to be here. Like those are the type of players that I want to see, that I want to root for. And the fact that they're pinned up against each other, it sucks. And I accredit it again to amazing edited, amazing casting dynamic people that we are only on episode 2. And my heart is torn because I don't want either of them to go, because I understand their journey. And I don't think that in previous seasons, we have even had this deep emotional connection, because we wouldn't have known their story. We wouldn't have known their arc. And so I know that doesn't answer your question, Jack, but for me, I feel like the fact that we're here and it's these two people is just a testament to how great the show is and how amazing the casting and editing have come.
They did a great job of really making us think that Emily was so on the outs that if they go back, it was going to be her last episode. I really thought like, all right, at least we get Emily for one more week, but she's out of here next time. And yeah, I thought it was definitely going to be her until, you know, as we're watching this and we see Brandon kind of like not doing so great at things, it's just like, man, it's going to be one of them.
It reminds me again, like Jack said, who's watching Cagayan, like Luzon, right? Where we automatically just knew it was going to be Jatia. And then Jatia built that relationship with Tasha. And then it ended up being Garrett, right? Like, again, there's so many similarities in these type of shows that I didn't even think about. But again, like we just knew from the first episode, and shout out to my sister Jatia. She's doing well and in recovery. But, you know, we just knew Jatia was done, right? Like we just knew and we came back and something else happened. So there is something, I think, with these 3 people tribes, right? Although didn't fare well, there is a dynamic of like, you never really know what can happen. And I encourage anyone that will ever play, that is ever listening, if you find yourself on a 3-person tribe, remember to talk to everybody, even if you're not working with them, even if you think that like you're polar opposite, because again, I really feel like in this situation, Emily and Kayla building this relationship ultimately changed the trajectory of the Lulu tribe for this tribal council.
Definitely. And so at tribal, it's pretty clear cut. They kind of have the same conversation between Brandon and Emily. I also want to note that Emily gave Sabaya her shot in the dark as like a sign of good faith. I guess that's something you could give away. We've never seen that really happen before. So I'm curious to see if Sabaya gives it back to her or not. But Sabaya can't vote. Brandon can't vote. And so it ends up being unanimous 3-0 vote against Brandon. And he is sent home, and he's very gracious for the opportunity to play. And yeah, sad to see the homie Brandon go out.
Absolutely. I think Brandon is an amazing person, an amazing player. He gave it his all, right? You know, sometimes again, I'm a fast runner, but I can't win every race. I think that he still, in these 2 episodes, showed us so much strength and amazingness that I really feel like sometimes strength isn't always physical strength. Strength can be emotional strength, and knowing all of the things that Brandon has overcome with his anxiety and different things, and for him to have a positive outlook still. When Jeff snubbed his torch, she was like, that's so cool. Like, you know, he's still living out his dream. And I have so much respect for Brandon. I think he is an amazing player. Very sad to see him go, but I am also excited that he joins the illustrious group of pre-mergers, right? Because I just feel like sometimes, yeah, we get winners and, you know, making a merge is nice. But honestly, the best players, in my opinion, even before I ever joined the Survivor family, I always loved the pre-merge cast. I felt like they were more dynamic, more fun, and amazing. And so I'm sad to see him go, but I'm happy that he is joining the illustrious, amazing, phenomenal ladder that is pre-mergers. So welcome to the club, baby boy.
Brice, thank you for that. Did I hear you say that you're a fast runner?
I don't even have time.
Brice, I'm just asking. Evan, you have footage of Brice running with a bucket and falling. We could just.
I ran track. I played soccer. One mishap in South Africa, and I don't even want to blame it on Jack. And even when I watch the footage, it kind of pisses me off about Jack, because Jack steps to the side and watches me tumble.
Yeah, you were moving so slow, I caught up to you.
He was running around you, and then we ended up dragging you.
And we still won. Crazy.
I mean, thank you. And I got up. So nobody wants to talk about me getting up.
What do you mean, thank you? It wasn't because of you. It was in spite of you. But what can we say? Brice did better than either of us at the end of the day. So
thank you.
Well, but Brice, Evan, please put that footage in again. But Brice, I wanted to go back, Jack, to the shot in the dark.
Yeah.
If Emily passes it to Sabaya, and now Sabaya has 2 shots in the dark. Now, I'm not talking about playing them. What if eventually they vote Emily out? But what if Sabaya then uses that to gain trust with someone else? Like, hey, I'm going to give you my shot in the dark. It's really
an interesting economy. And now that you mentioned that, I wonder what happens. Say you're in an alliance of like 6. Can you all pool your shot in the darks and just get a guaranteed safety on someone?
Wow.
It makes
I don't know.
Think, well, will we?
But I guess you can't play more than one, right?
Right.
Per person, because you have to sacrifice your vote. Once you lose your vote, you can't. Oh, they said because Brandon didn't have a vote, he couldn't even play his shot in the dark. And so I guess you can't stack them.
Well, Jack, what if everyone hands all their shots to one person, and that one person plays 6 shots in the dark?
Well, that's what I was thinking, but I think once you lose your vote, you can't then play another shot in the dark. You know what I mean?
Right. But what I'm saying is, if it's not him, if it's someone down the line where we have an alliance of however many, can they pull their shots?
And can I play my shot in the dark for someone else?
Oh, but you're saying everyone will in that alliance will lose their vote.
Well, either that, or if
Sure,
we all
ostracizing
hand you
me.
our shot in the dark, Wendell, once you play one, then you don't have a vote to give up, so you can't play another one. But maybe there's a world where if Brice is right and you can play your shot in the dark for someone else, we can all. Maybe it's like, maybe we have this is a weird situation because say we're in like an alliance of like 4 or 5, and we know we're outnumbered, but we want to take a chance. Maybe one of us keeps our vote. All the others play their shot in the dark for the person getting the votes. Like, say, Wendell, you're catching votes from the majority. We put like 4 shots in the dark on you, lose 4 votes, but then you have a 2/3 chance of being safe.
Yeah. And then you're just hoping that this majority of however many they are didn't split votes.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
All right.
assuming, like, say the numbers are like 6-4, they can't really split their votes because if they don't know you're going to make this move, then you're already like they need a split to or they can't split because you have 4.
I mean, if they do 5 and 1, well, whatever. Yes, you're right. That would
I
be
guess
cool.
they can do 5 and 1 just to be safe, but that's like always that next level thinking. Which
that would be cool.
Maybe now that we're putting it out in the universe, maybe we see it in the future. This idea emerge. Even I don't even know if it can, but obviously
Or
this
it might happen this season.
could happen this season. But yeah, given the shot in the dark away, didn't know you can do it, and I'm curious how it works out because right. I think for sure once you have one, you can't play a second because unless maybe you have 2 shot in the darks and 2 extra votes, and then you play your extra vote, and then you play 2 shot in the darks, and then you lose both your extra votes, and then you get 2 shots.
Wow.
That's a lot. We'll have to stay tuned to Survivor Season 45, Episode 3 to see what the shot in the darks are giving. I think this was a great episode. The baby boys are back. Jackery, thank you again for an amazing episode. Wendeezy, thank you. Stay tuned. The baby boys will be back. This has been your Survivor News.
CNDC.
DC, what up?
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News.